స్టార్ట్
అంటే అది ట్రాన్స్మిట్ అవుతుందండి.
అవుతుంది.
కొంచెం చెక్ చేసుకోండి ఒకసారి. అట్లా అయింది అనమాట.
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే సార్. అవుతుంది.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have completed almost all the allotted syllabus for you people. So I thought, as a revision, I will speak to you some salient and important topics in nutrition. And the most important amongst them is this dietary guidelines for Indians, as issued by Indian Council of Medical Research. So dietary guidelines. So basic thing is eat variety of foods and consume balanced diet. We should be very much conscious of our calorie requirement and take little less than what we require. So that is why calculation of our own calorie requirement is one of the most important things. And patient's calorie requirements also. Calculation of patient's calorie requirements also is very important. Ensure extra calories, proteins and micronutrients during pregnancy and lactation. It is these people who require additional and extra proteins, especially proteins. And then protein in the form, preferably in the form of meat products. Because meat is an available form of, a readily available form of heme, which can be conveniently incorporated into hemoglobin molecule. And exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months and encourage breastfeeding till child is of 6 years age. Now, while talking to you about MCH also, I have time and again emphasized that in the case of a newborn, first of all, we have to prevent hypoglycemia. So immediately, and only the way of providing the infant with necessary energy is breast milk. So put the infant to breast milk within half an hour after delivery and continue this breastfeeding preferably up to 2 years. But at the age of 6 months, weaning foods should be introduced. That is semi-solid, initially semi-solid foods and then followed by solid foods. And feed home-based semi-solid foods after 6 months. And adequate and appropriate diet for children and adolescents. So adolescent health is one thing which was being missed previously. Now there is a lot of emphasis on adolescent health also. Health of school children and adolescents also, especially with respect to prevention of anemia. And eat plenty of vegetables and fruits. And moderate use of oils and ghee, butter and vanaspati should be sparingly used. Ghee, butter and vanaspati should be sparingly used. In fact, vanaspati is dalda, or it is a form of trans fat. So I say, don't go anywhere near trans fats. No, though ICMR's recommendation is like this. So there are countries who said that in dietary preparations, trans fat should be zero. For instance, United States of America and Canada, UK, all these countries, in fact, there is a strict norm that no product sold in the market should consist of trans fats. So avoid overeating. In the very beginning, in the very opening sentences I have told. And regular exercise and be physically active. See, most of us have a very wrong notion that physical activity is required for weight reduction. It is a very, very poor tool of weight reduction. Please remember that. But physical activity is very, very important, both from psychological point of view and from physiological point of view, because physical activity tones up your metabolism and see to it that everything goes well. But if you take more than your calorie requirement, don't expect physical activity to take care of. Suppose you walk briskly for 45 minutes and then you feel hungry and eat one banana. That is what all you have spent in the form of, while walking, you are consuming in the form of banana. So that's why there is no use to look at physical activity as a tool of reduction of weight. It is a virtue to be practiced, like cleanliness. And then regular exercise and be physically active. Use salt in moderation and restrict excessive salt usage. Especially avoid pickles in every form, and then also avoid extra salt, adding extra salt to curds, to buttermilk, and to many other types of foods. So, right cooking methods and healthy eating habits. Food should not be over fried. Food should not be fried actually. The very process of frying, what will happen is that unsaturated fatty acids present in the oils, they get converted into a portion of it gets converted into trans fats, which are injurious to endothelium. And drink plenty of water and beverages in moderation. And then minimize use of processed foods which have more fats, salts, and sugars. That is cake, kurkure, and things like that. Elderly people should use diets rich in micronutrients, and calorie intake should be in moderation. Their calorie intake. Say the ICMR's recommendation that every adult should take 2,400 calories doesn't apply to the older people. They have their own calorie requirements, usually falling below the mark of 1800 calories. Sorry. So this is dietary guidelines to. Now, exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. Breast milk is the most natural and perfect food for normal growth and healthy development of infants. Colostrum is rich in nutrients and anti-infective factors and should be fed to infants. Breastfeeding reduces the risk of infections. It establishes mother-infant contact and promotes mother-child bonding. It prolongs birth interval by fertility control, that is, delayed return of menstruation through a mechanism what we call as lactational amenorrhea. And then breastfeeding helps in retraction of the uterus. And incidence of breast cancer is lower in mothers who breastfeed their children. Breastfeeding is associated with better cognitive development of children and may provide some long-term health benefits. So, exclusivity of breast milk. What is so exclusive about breast milk? So, rich in lactalbumin, easily digestible, and it also has lactoferrin. Usually, cow milk doesn't have any iron, but here, some amount of iron is available to the infant in the form of lactoferrin, and dicosa and hexanoic acids. Hexanoic acid, which is an essential fatty acid, and takes part in the myelination of nervous system, and contains macrophages, anti-infective antibodies, IgA globulins, lysozymes, and several other enzymes, and protects against hypocalcemia, hypomagnesemia, and then the breastfed babies have 8 extra IQ points. So, Indian women secrete 750 ml in first 6 months and 400 ml during the next 6 months. So, infant requirement average, this is average, not that every woman secretes that much. See, the very act of suckling the baby will stimulate breastfeeding. If the lady doesn't breastfeed the baby, say 4 or 5 times a day, then naturally the impulse to produce breast milk, communicated through oxytocin, hypothalamo-hypophyseal axis. So that impulse will not be there. So naturally, the amount of milk secreted by a woman decreases. That's why you have to encourage breastfeeding for a healthy baby and as well as healthy mother. Infant requirement of breast milk is 150 ml per kg of body weight. So introducing supplementary foods around 6 months. So advisable to introduce cow milk at the end of second month along with breast milk. And then rooting reflex, tongue protrusion reflex, gag reflex, all these things are required for the purpose of breastfeeding. And all these three reflexes come into play. So as a result, the infant central nervous system becomes more and more active. Now 6th month, introduction of semi-solid food. By 4th to 6th month, infant's gag reflex develops, enabling him to swallow semi-solid food. Till such time, you should not introduce semi-solid food. For a baby of 2 months or 3 months, you should not give semi-solid food. An infant's gag reflex develops only during the period 4th to 6th month. So hence, initially it is necessary to introduce semi-solid food only by 6th month in small quantities and increasing it gradually. So complementary foods. So you can see khichdi, how it is prepared and all that. I am not going to elaborate on that. Or malted ragi porridge, or wheat payasam, or kheer. These are certain semi-solid foods which can be given to the infant. In the examination, they will be asked, say, what are the semi-solid foods which you recommend for the infant? Your answer either should be khichdi, or malted ragi porridge, or wheat payasam, or kheer. Remember this. So fourth, adequate and appropriate diet for children 6 to 11 years and adolescents. Take extra care in feeding a young child and include soft cooked vegetables and seasonal fruits. Give plenty of milk and milk products to children and adolescents. Unfortunately, this is not something which is being done. In fact, they are being pampered and they are being fed with lot of junk food instead of encouraging them to take lot of milk and lot of curds. Especially curds has got a very good effect on the child's gut, and it restores the immunoprotective microbial flora of the gut. So that's the reason why you should encourage both milk and milk products, especially curd and buttermilk. So promote physical activity and appropriate lifestyle practices. And once again I emphasize, physical activity is for overall psychological, intellectual and psychomotor development. It is not meant for getting rid of some extra calories. We should not consume extra calories and try to get rid of through physical activity. So discourage overeating as well as indiscriminate dieting. Both are equally bad. So a nutritionally adequate diet is essential for optimal growth and development. Appropriate diet and physical activity during childhood is essential for optimum body composition, BMI, and to reduce the diet-related chronic diseases in later life and prevent vitamin deficiency. Common infections and malnutrition contribute significantly to child morbidity and mortality. A child needs to eat more during and after episodes of infections to maintain good nutritional status. So eat green leafy vegetables in plenty and also seasonal fruit. Include green leafy vegetables in daily diet. Eat as much of other vegetables as possible daily. And then eat vegetables, fruits in all your meals in various forms. Curries, soups, mixed with curd, added to pulse preparations and rice. So everywhere you put some vegetables. Fruits it is difficult to put, but vegetables you can always put. So consume raw and fresh vegetables as salads. Grow the family's requirement of vegetables in the kitchen garden if possible. Green leafy vegetables, when properly cleaned and cooked, are safe even for infants. Let different varieties of vegetables and fruits add color to your plate and vitality to your life. So, beta carotene rich foods like dark green, yellow, and orange colored vegetables and fruits protect from vitamin A deficiency. Cooking oils and animal foods should be used in moderation, and vanaspati, ghee, butter should be used sparingly. So, what are these? Are the let us. I would like to elaborate a little bit on this cooking oils. Coconut oil, palm palm oil, and then ghee, butter, vanaspati. These are all saturated fatty acids. They consist of saturated fatty acids. And what are the oils which consist of monounsaturated fatty acids? Red palm oil, palmolin oil, groundnut, rice bran oil, and sesame. So these are monounsaturated. And polyunsaturated, they are linoleic acid, low in red palm oil and palmolin, moderate in groundnut and rice bran and sesame oils, high in safflower, sunflower, cottonseed, corn, soybean, etc. And alpha linolenic acid, it is good in rapeseed oil and mustard oil and soybean. So these are, all these are equally important for your well-being. But the amount of fat consumed should never exceed 20, in between. It should always be 20 to 30% of your calories only should be supplied from the fats. So please remember, each gram of fat gives 9 calories. So that is the reason why you cannot indulge in having fats to your heart's content. You have to be very, very measured in consuming the fats. So again I am repeating, saturated fatty acids, coconut oil, palm kernel oil, ghee, butter, and then vanaspati. These are saturated fatty acids, and under no circumstances they should supply more than 10% of body's calorie requirement. And monounsaturated fatty acids are present in red palm oil, palmolin oil, groundnut oil, rice bran oil, and sesame oil. So these are monounsaturated fatty acids. See, always you remember, saturated fatty acids withstand cooking process better when compared to monounsaturated fatty acids. And monounsaturated fatty acids withstand the cooking process better when compared to polyunsaturated fatty acids. So that is what in the earlier I have told you. If you use lots of polyunsaturated fatty acids, they are likely to be converted into trans fats. So that's why whatever oils you are taking, your intake should be an optimum admixture of all these. A little bit of ghee, and then a combination of groundnut oil, and then say sunflower oil or safflower oil. So like that, it should be a judicious combination. So this is here judicious combination. Some judicious combinations are suggested here under. Say groundnut or sesame and rice bran plus mustard. That is one combination. Groundnut, sesame, rice bran plus canola. This is another. So groundnut, sesame, rice bran plus soybean. That is another combination. So sunflower, safflower plus palmolin, and sunflower plus groundnut. So this is another combination. So again I am repeating, groundnut or sesame or rice bran plus mustard. This is one combination, it can be. So groundnut or sesame or rice bran plus canola. This is another combination. So groundnut, sesame or rice bran plus soybean. This can be another combination. I am emphasizing this because this is useful to you even in your day-to-day life. So palmolin plus soybean, and safflower or sunflower plus palmolin plus mustard. This is another combination. So 7. Exercise regularly and increase physical activity. Physical activity of moderate intensity is recommended for health and well-being. Again, please note these words. They are not meant for getting rid of calories. It is recommended for health and well-being. Physical activity is essential to maintain ideal body weight by burning excess calories and is of vital significance for health and prevention of non-communicable disease. Physical activity is a major modifiable risk factor in reduction of non-communicable chronic diseases. So physical activity may reduce the risk of falls and injuries in the elderly. And exercise is a prescriptive medicine. Move your body as much as you can. So this is physical activity pyramid. So first of all, there are lifestyle activities. What are lifestyle activities? Your walking and all those things. All these are lifestyle activities. Taking the dog or going to the super bazaar by walk or fetching things or fetching water or lifting the small weights which are doing household cleaning work and all those things. These are all called as lifestyle activities. And then active aerobics. Now the second comes the active aerobics, that is cycling, running, jogging, swimming. You can include horse riding also. So, or otherwise playing games like tennis, shuttle and all those things. So they are level 2. And the third is flexibility exercises, what we call as yoga and all those things. They are flexibility exercises. And then there are also strength and muscular development exercises. And then rest and inactivity. So level 4. So your daily physical activity should be an admixture of all these activities. People are under the wrong impression that if I go jogging for 20 minutes or 25 minutes or 20, you may get some benefit out of it. I don't deny, but you don't get full benefit out of it. So this physical activity pyramid also is equally important. What is that? Level 1 is lifestyle activities. That is activities which you do routinely. And then second is active aerobics like running, jogging or cycling or swimming. These are active aerobic activities. So these active aerobic activities, they are required for toning up your heart rate and bringing down the blood pressure to a reasonable limit and all those things. And then next is flexibility exercises. And then third, level 4 is rest. So energy balance, energy input, maintenance of body weight and body composition, and energy output and energy balance. This is how energy balance is acquired. So your exercise program should be a medley of different exercises, types of physical activities. These activities are very beneficial to health. So aerobic activities, those speed your heart rate and breathing while improving heart and lung fitness. Examples: brisk walking, jogging and swimming. Now resistance, strength building and weight bearing activity, what we call as calisthenic exercises. So these help build and maintain bone and muscles by working them against gravity, lifting weights, walking with child in arms are a few examples. Balance and stretching activities, dancing, gentle stretching, yoga, martial arts, tai chi reduce risk of injuries by improving physical stability and flexibility. So your activity should be an admixture, a medley of activities. 8. Avoid overeating and eat at specified intervals. So a dramatic increase in the prevalence of overweight and obesity among all the age groups has occurred in the last 2 to 3 decades. About 30 to 50% of adult Indians are either overweight or obese. Overweight and obese individuals are at an enhanced risk of comorbidities including type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, gallstones, high blood cholesterol and triglycerides, orthopedic disorders, hypertension and other cardiovascular diseases, certain cancers and psychosocial problems. The imbalance between the energy intake and energy output leads to excess accumulation of fat in various parts of the body. What can be done by overweight or mildly obese individuals? Slow and steady reduction in body weight is advisable. Severe fasting may lead to health hazards. Achieve energy balance and appropriate weight for height. So encourage regular physical activity. Eat small meals regularly at frequent intervals. Cut down sugar, salt, fatty foods, refined foods, soft drinks and alcohol. Eat complex carbohydrates, low glycemic foods and fiber-rich diets. Increase consumption of fruits and vegetables, legumes, whole grains and nuts. Limit fat intake and shift from saturated to unsaturated fats. Avoid trans fatty rich foods. Use low fat milk. So next, eat vegetables in plenty and fruit in moderation. Include green leafy vegetables in daily diet. Eat as much of other vegetables as possible daily. Eat vegetables, fruits in all your meals in various forms. Consume raw and fresh vegetables as salads. Grow the family's requirements of vegetables in the kitchen garden if possible. Green leafy vegetables, when properly cleaned and cooked, are safe even for infants. Let different varieties of vegetables and fruits add color to your plate and vitality to your life. Beta carotene rich foods like dark green, yellow and orange colored vegetables and fruits. So restrict salt intake to minimum. So sodium is the major electrolyte in the extracellular fluid. Sodium plays an important role in nerve conduction and fluid balance in the body. Maintenance of sodium balance depends on kidney function. High intake of salt is associated with high blood pressure and stomach cancer. All foods contain sodium. Sodium requirements can be met with moderate salt intake. Sodium intake needs to be balanced by potassium intake. So potassium intake, you can do it by consuming fruits and vegetables, especially fruits like say banana and then something tomato, and then of course it is a vegetable, and these are oranges. These are reasonably good. They have got reasonable amount of potassium. And so restrict the intake of added salt right from an early age. Develop a taste for foods and diets that are low in salt. Restrict intake of preserved and processed foods such as papads, pickles, sauces, ketchup, salted biscuits, chips, cheese and salted fish. Eat plenty of vegetables and fruits. They are good source of potassium. Use always iron fortified iodized salt, double fortified salt, which is not available. So safe and good quality foods are essential for maintaining good health. So naturally occurring toxins, environmental contaminants and adulterants in foods constitute a health hazard. Consumption of unsafe foods can lead to foodborne diseases. Buy food items from reliable sources after careful examination. Wash vegetables and fruits thoroughly before use. Store the raw and cooked foods properly and prevent microbial, rodent and insect invasion. Refrigerate perishable food items only. Maintain good personal hygiene and keep the cooking and food storage areas clean and safe. Always use thoroughly cleaned utensils for cooking and eating. So, adopt correct pre-cooking practices and appropriate cooking practices. Avoid food fads and discard erroneous food beliefs. Do not wash food grains repeatedly before cooking. Do not wash vegetables after cutting. Do not soak the cut vegetables in water for long periods. These are all the mistakes which we will be making. So, repeatedly washing the food grains is not correct. And especially do not wash vegetables after cutting. So because all the micronutrients will seep out. And do not soak the cut vegetables in water for long periods. And do not discard the excess water left over after cooking. Use only sufficient water for cooking. And cook foods in vessels covered with lids. And prefer pressure steam cooking to deep frying and roasting. Encourage consumption of sprouted or fermented foods. Avoid use of baking soda while cooking pulses and vegetables. Do not reheat the leftover oil repeatedly. So 12. Drink water in sufficient quantities. Drink enough of safe and wholesome water to meet daily fluid requirements. Drink boiled water when safety of the water is in doubt. Consume at least 250 ml of boiled or pasteurized milk per day. Drink natural and fresh fruit juices instead of carbonated beverages. Prefer tea over coffee. Avoid alcohol. Those who drink should limit its intake. Minimize the use of processed foods rich in salt, sugar, and fats. So, urbanization has increased the intake and demand for processed foods. There is a trend towards replacing traditionally cooked foods with processed foods. Processed foods may not be nutritionally balanced unless fortified. Sugar, a processed food, provides empty calories. Prefer traditional homemade foods. Avoid replacing meals with snack foods. Limit consumption of sugar and unhealthy processed foods which provide only calories. Prefer fortified processed foods. Always read food labels regarding content of nutrients, shelf life, and the additives present. So include micronutrient rich foods in the diets of elderly people to enable them to be fit and active. Body consumption changes with advancing age, and these changes affect nutritional needs of the elderly. Elderly or aged people require reduced amounts of calories as their lean muscle mass and physical activity decrease with aging. Elderly are more prone to diseases due to lowered food intake, physical activity, and resistance to infection. Good, healthy food habits and regular, comfortable level of physical activity are required to minimize the ill effects of aging and to improve the quality of life. Elderly need adequate amounts of protein, carbohydrates, fat, vitamins, minerals, and dietary fiber. Elderly need more calcium, iron, zinc, vitamin A, and antioxidants to prevent age-related degenerative diseases and for healthy aging. So, with this, these are the each of these, in fact, what needs very detailed elaboration. Only few things I have elaborated, and many things simply I read through because this is basically a revision class. It is presupposed that you are aware of all these things. So, now thank you very much.